Letter. Samuel F. Billington and Son, Solicitors, Whitby, to Messrs. Carter, Patterson and Company, London, 17th of August. Dear Sirs, herewith please receive invoice of goods sent by Great Northern Railway. Same are to be delivered to Carfax, near Purfleet, immediately on receipt at Goods Station, King's Cross. The house is at present empty, but enclosed please find keys, all of which are labelled. You will please deposit the boxes, 50 in number, which form the consignment, in a partially ruined building forming part of the house and marked A on rough diagram enclosed. Your agent will easily recognize the locality, as it is the ancient chapel of the mansion. The goods leave by the train at 9:30 tonight, and will be due at King's Cross at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. As our client wishes delivery made as soon as possible, we shall be obliged by having your teams ready at King's Cross at the time named and forthwith conveying the goods to destination. In order to obviate any delays possible through any routine requirements as to payment in your departments, we enclose cheque herewith for £10, receipt of which please acknowledge. Should the charge be less than this amount, you can return balance. If greater, we shall at once send cheque for difference on hearing from you. You are to leave the keys on coming away at the main hall of the house, where the proprietor may get them at his entering the house by means of his duplicate key. Pray not take us exceeding the bounds of business, courtesy, and pressing you all in ways to use utmost expedition. We are, dear sirs, faithfully yours, Samuel F. Billington and Son. Letter, Messrs. Carter, Patterson and Company, London, to Messrs. Billington and Son, Whitby, 21st of August. Dear Sirs, we beg to acknowledge £10 received and to return cheque £1 17 19. Amount of overplus as shown in receipt account herewith. Goods are delivered in exact accordance with instructions, and keys left in parcel in main hall as directed. We are, dear sirs, yours respectfully, Carter, Patterson and Company. Mina Murray's Journal, 18th of August. I am happy today and write sitting on the seat in the churchyard. Lucy is ever so much better. Last night she slept well all night and did not disturb me at once. The roses seem coming back already to her cheeks, though she is still sadly pale and worn-looking. If she were in any way anemic I could understand it, but she is not. She is in gay spirits and full of life and cheerfulness. All the morbid reticence seems to have passed from her, and she has just reminded me, as if I needed any reminding, of that night, and that it was here, on this very seat, I found her asleep. As she told me, she tapped playfully with the heel of her boot on the stone slab and said, "My poor little feet didn't make much noise then." I dare say poor old Mr. Swales would have told me that it was because I didn't want to wake up Gordy. As she was such a communicative humour, I asked her if she had dreamed at all that night. Before she answered, that sweet, puckered look came back into her forehead, which Arthur, I call him Arthur from her habit, says he loves, and, indeed, I don't wonder why he does. Then she went on in a half-dreaming kind of way, as if trying to recall it to herself. I didn't quite dream, but it all seemed to be real. I only wanted to be here in this spot. I don't know why, for I was afraid of something. I don't know what. I remember, though I suppose I was asleep, passing through the streets and over the bridge. A fish leapt as I went by, and I leaned over to look at it, and I heard a lot of dogs howling. The whole town seemed as if it must be full of dogs all howling at once, as I went up the steps, and then I had a vague memory of something long and dark with red eyes, just as we saw in the sunset, and something very sweet and very bitter all around me at once. And then I seemed to be sinking into deep green water, and there was singing in my ears, as if I heard those two drowning men, and then everything seemed passing away from me. My soul seemed to go out from my body and float about the air. I seem to remember that once the West Lighthouse was right under me, and then there was a sort of agonizing feeling, as if it were an earthquake, and I came back and found you shaking my body. I saw you do it before I felt you. Then she began to laugh. It seemed a little uncanny to me, and I listened to her breathlessly. I did not quite like it, and thought I'd better not keep her mind on the subject. So we drifted to other subjects, and Lucy was like her old self again. When we got home, the fresh breeze had braced her up, and her pale cheeks were really more rosy. Her mother rejoiced when she saw her, and we all spent a very happy evening together. 19th of August. Joy, 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 although not joy. At last news of Jonathan. The dear fellow has been ill. That is why he did not write. I am not afraid to think it or say it now that I know. Mr. Hawkins sent me on the letter, and wrote himself, oh, so kindly. I am leaving in the morning to go over to Jonathan and to help nurse him if necessary, and to bring him home. Mr. Hawkins says it would not be a bad thing if we were to be married out there. I have cried over the good sister's letter till I can feel it wet against my bosom where it lies. It is of Jonathan, and must be next to my heart, but he is in my heart. My journey is all mapped out, and my luggage ready. I am only taking one change of dress. Lucy will bring my trunk to London and keep it till I send for it, for it may be that I must write no more. I must keep it next and say to Jonathan, my husband, the letter that he has seen and touched most comfort me till we meet. Letter, Sister Agatha, Hospital of St. Joseph and Mary, Budapest, to mean Sween Miss Wilhelmina Murray. 12th of August. Dear Madam, I write my desire of Jonathan Harper, who is himself not strong enough to write, though progressing well, thanks to God and St. Joseph and Mary. He has been under our care for nearly 6 weeks, suffering from a violent brain fever. He wishes me to convey his love, and to say by this post I write for him to Mr. Peter Hawkins, Exeter, to say with his dutiful respects that he is sorry for his delay, and that all his work is completed. He will be required some few weeks' rest in our sanatorium in the hills, but will then return. He wishes me to say that he has not sufficient money with him, and that he would like to pay for his staying here, so that others who need shall not be wanting for help. Believe me, yours with sympathy and all blessings, Sister Agatha. Postscript. My patient being asleep, I open this to let you know something more. He has told me all about you, and that you are shortly to be his wife. All blessings to you both. He has had some fearful shock, so says our doctor, and in his delirium his ravings have been dreadful, of wolves and poison and blood, of ghosts and demons, and I fear to say of what, but careful with him always that there be nothing to excite him of this kind for a long time to come. The traces of such an illness as do not die lightly away. We should have written long ago, but we knew nothing of his friends, and there was nothing on him, nothing that anyone could understand. He came in on the train from Klausenburg, and the guard was told by the station-master that he rushed into the station shouting for a ticket for home. Seeing from his violent demeanour that he was English, they gave him a ticket for the farthest station on the way hither that the train reached. Be assured that he is well cared for. He has won all hearts for his sweetness and gentleness. He is truly getting on well, and I have no doubt will in a few weeks be old himself. But be careful of him for safety's sake. There are, I pray God and St. Joseph and Mary, many, many happy years for you both. Dr. Seward's Diary. 19th of August. Strange and sudden change in Renfield last night. About 8 o'clock he began to get excited and to sniff about as a dog does when setting. The attendant was struck by his manner, and knowing my interest in him, encouraged him to talk. He is usually respectful to the attendant, and at times servile, but tonight the man tells me he was quite haughty. Would not condescend to talk with him at all. All he would say was, "Don't want to talk to you. You don't count now. The master is at hand." The attendant thinks it is some sudden form of religious mania which has seized him. If so, we must look out for squalls, for a strong man with homicidal and religious mania at once might be dangerous. The combination is a dreadful one. At 9 o'clock I visited him myself. His attitude to me was the same as that to the attendant. In his sublime self-feeling, the difference between myself and the attendant seemed to him as nothing. It looks like religious mania, and he will soon think that he himself is God. These infinitesimal distinctions between man and man are too paltry for any omnipotent being. How these madmen give themselves away! The real God taketh heed lest a sparrow fall, but the God created from human vanity sees no difference between an eagle and a sparrow. Oh, if only men knew!